ladies, gentlemen, otters, and pups of all ages, shapes, sizes, genders, colors, and creeds to opening day in the Emerald Division of Blue Otter League Season 12. Over the next 7 weeks, 28 teams will do battle to try and earn themselves a spot in the playoffs and a chance at glory. Our first best of 3 of the season will feature Syndicate Crashouts versus TFF Aftershock to see who will claim an early lead in the Noxus Division standings. My name is Crewman44. It will be my honor and privilege to bring all of you the action this season. I will be joined by a mainstay here in the BOL, the great Gitano09. Gitano, are you ready to get started with our journey downstream?
I'm ready. Just, off the season, strong start for these teams. I'm sure they're looking to really send the message early and fast here. You kind of left out Yordles in your green. I'm a little surprised. Is that intentional or did it just miss the cue, unfortunately?
Not at all, not at all, not intentional. I mean, that's the thing about Yordles, right? Is they're sort of like these mysterious creatures that I feel like can play tricks on people's minds sometimes. So maybe they just didn't want me to shout them out. You know what I mean? Like they just like to fly under the radar like that.
That could, a lot of them like to keep the attention on themselves, and when they want to hide, they do a great job, mostly because of their stature, but they still pack quite a wallop, as we know, is Poppy with that giant hammer. It can get pretty bad, but it looks like the team's kind of on their way here. We're starting off the draft. Are you looking to see anything in the bans particularly?
It's an interesting question. You know, we have been sitting on this current patch 14-17 for about a week now, Gitano. You know, not too many crazy strong champions in the game currently, I feel, or rather, that is to say, not very many champions that are far and away stronger than like any other champion. You know, we've recently tapped down a couple of those AP junglers again. Some buffs to Graves and Kindred make those picks, in particular for me, a little bit interesting. But the other thing that I think we do need to mention right here at the start of this one, Gitano, is the fact that our drafts here in the Emerald Division are going to be full fearless for the entirety of the season. So that is something that I think is going to be important for us to keep in mind as we move through this first pick ban.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great to see a lot more combination of action and just see how exactly in depth these pools go here. Right off the bat, I'm looking at, for Syndicate bans, the Moo Volley, 2 strong junglers. Moo definitely has been a mainstay for the jungler and just great team fight presence. You can get off early as long as you don't get, something hard invaded. You're looking great throughout the entirety. And then the Seraphine, a great job of disengage here. And Vars being picked out. I've always been a Vars fan, so I love the pick right away.
Yeah, the Seraphine in particular is an interesting one. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, that is a big comfort pick for Kiora over there. Some folks even poking a little bit of fun, saying that he's a bit of a Seraphine one trick. So already coming out with the target bans here. You'll love to see it. But we are moving pretty quickly through here as we do have the Jinx and Lilia picked up in response by TFF Aftershock.
Yeah, the Jinx, there's been a couple of changes. I know some people are looking more at the lethality version of that now, or at least now that is a viable option. After some of the adjustments, Lilia being picked up, good sleep time can really knock an entire team fight out. Another AP jungler that I'm sure people are comfortable on at this point with patch being what it was for so long, and then Vi being picked up on the other side here. Great engage, Vault Breaker goes straight to the point. They're looking to dive, and they're looking to dive hard. Vars ult into the Vi ult. Not a lot of movement going on here.
Yeah, definitely. Some very strong lockdown potential. Speaking of which, the Nautilus to follow up on that as well. Definitely feels like a very cohesive draft so far for Syndicate. And the Vi actually, an interesting note for anybody who might not know already, but I actually was a Vi one trick for quite a while. So I might have some thoughts on the Vi as we move into this game. And she was actually buffed on this patch as well on 14-17. So the Vi in, of course, a fantastic position. And that's the most annoying thing about Lilia as well, right? The fact that she's so good at prancing around on the edges of fights and not getting locked down. But when you have double point and click here for Syndicate, they might have that deer in their crosshairs, Gitano.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't move too well when you got 2-point click ults coming right at you. And Viger Cage on top of that as well. Your narrow amount of movement now is completely restricted. So a great picking out of there. I'm guessing we'll see that mid. You know, you can never be too sure exactly what happens. People have their one tricks and their off point metas, but we'll see what the next bands here bring. We see Aurora coming out on the band side here for TF. I know a lot of people have taken a good shining to her, and for good reasoning too. That ultimate can really mess with you during that individual lane phase as well as when you get to that
Yeah.
team fights. And Lissandra getting buffed here in this last patch here. So great utility, great point and click CC. I think they're trying to take even more of that off the table here with that ban.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see how far Syndicate Crashdown really want to opt into that style, right? 'Cause that's definitely obviously what they've been putting together so far. But you do need, some other archetypes mixed into your draft as well, right, to really make things as balanced as possible. So it'll be really interesting to see what the mid lane option here is going to be into the Vagar. But our 4 pick is going to come through first, of course. Expecting, the Vagar could theoretically still be flexed to support, as you were kind of hinting at earlier on. But that's personally what I'm expecting, is to see a support get locked in here. The Poppy coming through would leave things a little bit up in the air, though, doesn't it?
It does. It can go top lane. It wasn't affected by the Warmong's buff towards the bot lane and still rushing that. It is still a flex pick. So I really like the thought process of that, of leaving that flex pick open. That still leaves the door, but not revealing too much, even though you do have counter pick here. The Mordekaiser being hovered. The changes on that ever since the you cannot escape when you're in the Shadow Realm have been so interesting. And once you get that momentum building, it is very difficult because you almost have to send two, maybe even three people once you pick up that third item on Mordekaiser, and then it becomes a game of who's going to get taken. So it becomes that almost time bomb if you don't suppress it here early enough. But we'll see what the response is to here. They have a good mixture of AP and AD going on, so this mid can really be almost anything they want.
Pick of the litter for Zui, assuming I'm pronouncing that name correctly. But certainly, I feel like a number of different things that you could look towards here that would fit the composition pretty nicely. Lots of great pairings do exist with the Vi. Things like the Ari are still available. But the Way, definitely a little bit of a different direction. That's going to give the composition some additional range, right? Can follow up, I think, pretty easily on the dive that does come through from that Vi. Not necessarily a traditional pairing, but one that I think can work very well.
Yeah, Waze Kid is very versatile and able to do a lot in lane. Like he just said, that range can really mess with you and even, disrupt a fight before it even starts. If you get something, you know, good look off of that. So we'll see what the last pick is here. An Olaf pick.
Wow.
So yeah, I believe that's Olaf going topside, then Poppy going for the support with Jinx, Viger mid.
Yeah. That's certainly what I'm predicting. And the Olaf R5, that Olaf Mordekaiser matchup has been so interesting, right? Ever since the changes to the Mordekaiser ultimate that you mentioned earlier on, the Olaf can still immune the Death Realm, but he has to cast the Ragnarok before Death Realm comes through. So if the Olaf does get trapped in the Death Realm, then he can no longer just press R to instantly get out of there. So this matchup is a little bit more skill expressive than it used to be, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with the Olaf pick is smart here. There's so much click CC that's going to be happening that Vars has to position himself very well and make sure that there's great wards on his flank in case Olaf does decide to come out from a side. Because once he hits that Ragnarok and comes to Vars, there is nothing that can stop him minus that Mordekaiser. If Mordekaiser's towards the backside, that really allows your front to move up, especially with the Lilia and the Jinx and the Vigar. They can really do some damage up front here. So we'll see if Viger gets that stacking early. I know with the wave range, though, it might be one of those we're going to max Q and just let him stack until he's happy.
Yeah, a couple of really interesting drafts here to start us out, Gitano. I feel like both compositions are almost like all around drafts, right? The way things have ended up here, both compositions have a good amount of front line. They have strong scaling carries. They have a good amount of range, maybe a little bit better engage on the side of Syndicate, right? With the Vi and Nautilus, and engage on the side of TFF is really, you're looking at like a Lilia Sleep or like an Olaf or a Poppy flank, something like this. So maybe not necessarily as easy on that front, but I feel like with these drafts, this first one could go either way.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those. We're gonna see how the early game pairs out. 10 minutes. What's taken? Is a dragon off the table? Does someone grab the three grubs right away? Is one lane being targeted by that jungler? So I'm super excited to see how that goes. I don't expect any cheese level one, but you never know what's gonna happen.
That's true. That's true. You never know. And one other thing that I really wanted to mention here, Katana, before we really get into the thick of things, is just the fact that, both of these teams, but Syndicate Crashers in particular, have really been hyped up by a number of different people, even going back to like the group draw show that we did a little under a week ago. A lot of the guys in there were kind of talking about how, this Syndicate Crashers team is probably one of the strongest teams, if not the strongest team here in the Noxus division. And, I've seen some other power rankings and some people in the community saying that this might even be one of the strongest teams in the entirety of Emerald, right? So I think it is a very high bar that has been set for Syndicate. But I was also just looking at the piece of content that came out from Genetics, just a couple of hours ago, and he was actually predicting this match to go the other way, predicting TFF and Aftershock to take the win here in week number 1. So I think it's fair to say that there's some really high expectations and a lot of excitement around both of these teams, and that just makes getting this first win all the more important.
Yeah, it's kind of starting yourself on that right foot, but then also too, just because your team is all around great, it's just that one team that always has your number. It's that internal rivalry. So we could see something early on going on here, building up as the season progresses. And I'm imagining every time these two come together, it could be a battle, for the ages here. So I'm super excited to see what's gonna happen here, level one. The first 5 minutes for me is like that dictating pace. We'll see if they end up guns blazing or if they're going to be a little bit more reserved, let themselves calm down, let the game progress. Because I see late game for both teams that have great
Yeah.
potential. So there's not a, hey, we have to win by that 15, 20-minute mark. Both teams can just settle back, recline the chair a little bit, and just let it go.
Exactly right, Gaetano. Yeah, and I think with that being said, it kind of leads me to believe that we might not see very much action in the early game, right? Especially considering the fact as well that this is the first game of the season. You don't want to be coming out in the first couple of minutes of the first game and be making like a silly mistake and get your team off on the wrong foot. And really, it feels like the only really powerful early game, or at least the only powerful level 1 champ here in the game is really the Nautilus with the dredge line, right? So I personally would be a little bit surprised if we see any level 1 fights breaking out, especially given the fact, like you were just talking about, how both of these teams do have some really strong scaling elements.
Yeah, I mean, the Nautilus itself is always just a threat no matter what. It's not a hey, we hit level 3. It's that dredge line, automatic stun. You got the Vars that can follow up. If he takes the E, the hail of or arrows coming down, that could spell disaster. Now, if that Jinx Nautilus was pairing, you throw traps behind, and you might as well say GG. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely right. But all that being said, Gaetano, we kind of discussed both of these drafts at decent length here. The R5 Olaf pick definitely could work out well, but there's also some risk here, right? If he's diving forward, if he's not coordinated with the rest of the team, that could end up not really working out in his favor. What do you think about these two drafts holistically? Do you have a preference? If you were in this game, which draft would you rather be playing?
Oh, don't do that to me. I always pick what I
I'm
think,
gonna
and
do it
then
to you every game.
it's the
I'm
other way
sorry.
always. um,
Mm,
I if I'm gonna predict, I'm gonna go with the TF right now, just because the Olaf pick I really like. It's gonna cause massive mayhem in the backline, I believe, and the Jinx still scales very well. You got the Vire set up. Lily can self peel. Plus, if she gets a good sleep time, it's looking very dangerous. Poppy's a great job of keeping everyone on that outside as well. So I love both the team comps. There's not just one, but I'm throwing it up in the air because it's gonna happen. And if I curse you on game one, that is my fault. I'll make sure I reverse my option for game two. That way it's a 1-1. We'll keep neutral for game three.
yeah, it's hard to predict, especially the first game of the season, right? We haven't seen these teams in action yet, so the nameplates don't really give us too much additional information either. Definitely, I think a lot of really strong picks here on the side of TFF, but will it be enough to take down what I do think is a very cohesive draft on the side of Syndicate, guys? We're going to go to a short break. Don't go anywhere. Our first game of the season will be coming at you right after this. All right, everybody, welcome on to Summoner's Rift for our inaugural game of Season 12 here in Emerald. Should be an absolute banger. Once again, guys, Syndicate Crashers on the blue side, TFF Aftershock on the red to start us off.
Yeah, looks like a basic 5-point start, minus one area, but nothing too crazy happening level one. So, fortunately, we're not going to see the invade. I will say the Olaf, we do have the longsword refillable pot start. So I know with the blade they changed a little bit of that, and a lot of people are going now towards the shield. But we're opting in a little bit of a different path.
Well, that is a little bit of a skill shot. First skill shot connecting for Zooey there in the mid lane. So he's
One
able
for
to get
one.
that Comet proc. Very nice.
We'll keep tallies on that. Every time you see it on the screen at the end of the day, we'll see. And maybe a little bit of an aggression pick here.
Ooh. Yeah,
Olaf
Zooey
looking to
ended
do
up
a
a little
little
bit
bit
out
of
of
damage,
position. That
having to
is going
burn
to
the
be
flash.
pretty big here at the level 1 mark. Disadvantage for the Syndicate mid laner. Luckily for Zooey, Veigar not necessarily known for putting on early pressure, and also Lilia not necessarily known for getting off early ganks. So I think not necessarily that likely that the missing flash is going to be punished, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, unfortunately, not any time to really hop back first. Those minions coming in right at the end here. Bot lane, nothing too crazy happening either here. In top lane, it's just going to be the wet noodle fight. But I think with these wet noodles, they are going to have a little more hit to them than normal.
Yeah, they're like slightly firm. Is that al dente? No, al dente is more
Pasta.
limp, right?
No, well,
Um,
I'll, you know what? We're gonna go with it. It's pasta because pasta, when it's al dente, it still has a little bit of give to it, and it still hurts. So, I don't know if you've
yeah,
ever been
yeah.
hit by a al dente noodle. It does some damage.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what we're looking at here in the top lane. So we're
I'm
gonna
gonna try
see
to use
how
all the pasta references now for the entire game.
we have our objective. The water starts to boil. No, I gotta save that one. Oh, I came out with that too early. Anyways, Rutledge is going to get pulled back here by the Death's Grasp. Mordekaiser with the level 3. The Obliterate is going to go wide there, but Rutledge running in the wrong direction. Does have the Cocoa Puffs coming in to try and save the play, and now Nitrodax is the one running pretty low here on the Mordekaiser. There's one more Obliterate. Is not going to find the Olaf. The Mordekaiser, though, the passive is going to get the first blood, and it's a double kill over to Nitrodax. The Syndicate top laner makes it happen in the 1v2.
That is ridiculous. And then a blasting wand coming out of that early. You think you have him right on the ropes. All of a sudden, he pulls the shield out. And that was just not what you wanted to see here. Great job by Olaf, kind of dipping in and out, just trying to get the time. But like you said before, Lilia not known for that heavy Granker, especially you need those items to do it. And unfortunately, getting punished here. And
Rutledge getting pulled
Olaf,
back again here, actually.
oh,
Teleported back to lane, and he's already got the blinking health bar. We are taking a look at the bot lane for now, though, as they whopped, and we'll show them trying to get that wave in. But yeah, this top lane is really the main story of the early game so far as the mace comes down once again. Nitrodax is just taken over. Did I say we weren't going to have early fights? I think I may have lied. As Cocoa Puffs prancing back into the top lane once again, but it's just a level 3 Lilia. Oh, but the shutdown does go over. I guess the shield must have been on cooldown there for Nitro. And the Mordekaiser is going to end up giving over an early shutdown to the TFF jungler.
yeah, 500 gold to do great in her back pocket here as she starts to heat up a little bit as the water starts to boil here. Towards the mid lane, just back and forth. Mana getting a little low as the poke goes back and forth here. CS difference 6, nothing too crazy. Let's check on the Viger stats though. 24 AP already gained here and more to come. This top lane though has got me a little worried already. Olaf burning the TP, coming back, clearly behind, and the lane's not in a great area either. It's pushed up all the way to that tower.
Yeah, and remember, this is the R5 Olaf. You know, this is a pick that absolutely can work well into the Mordekaiser, but Olaf's a champion, is where when you fall behind early, if you're behind the pace of the game and you miss that big spike in the mid game where he's got, you know, like his first item and he's like level 8 or 9, whatever, and he's super strong in these mid game fights, if you're behind the curve at that point in the game, the Olaf tends to do very little the later that we go. So definitely very concerned for Rutledge here early on.
Yeah, I think they're at this point just need to say, hey, we'll help top lane when we can, but also just farm the best you can, give up the tower pressure when needed, because you got to stop the bleeding at some point in order to grow back there. And we see almost a little over a double CS lead right now, 16 to 33 for that top lane margin. You do have a giant wave coming in, but you also have a giant hammer coming down at you
Oh
about every
man,
2 seconds.
not to be pedantic here, but it is a mace, not a hammer. There are many other champions. We do have a hammer wielder in the game, the Poppy down there. So just
True.
for clarity's sake.
Everything
Rutledge
looks
still
like
looking
hammer to me. I'm short IRL, so anything coming down that has just that fearful look on my face, I'm just it's hammer time. Just MC hammers playing in my head.
Oh,
But
nice. Okay.
oh please don't Timo's PTSD. And a
Wacky
level
Gitano minigame.
right? See how he can
Oh,
rage quit.
Rutledge. Oh, he's still
Oh
not level 6, man. He was just trying to get level 6. I imagine the Olaf must have been pretty close, but he wasn't able to get there in time. And that's 4 kills now for Nitro. Dax 100% of the kills in Season 12 so far on this Mordekaiser.
yeah, taking tower play too. I can't wait to see what he comes back with. But while the action's coming towards the top side, we see in the bot lane Vi doing that early dragon here. A little bit of help of Nautilus too, just staying on the side, picking everyone out, just making sure.
Like a Spiraling Despair connecting in the mid lane. The Severing Bolt is going to claim the kill as Zooey finds the skill shots. He has the flashback off cooldown now as well. Did not even need it. Nicely done there. The Syndicate solo laners popping off so far in this first game, Gitano.
Yeah, you start to see why they were praised as a strong team, and they're showing it here really well. Bot lane just having great control, going even. There's no need for us to do anything flashy when the rest of the team is doing great. They help grab the objective here, as Vi comes over for the dragon. So a really hot start for them.
Okay, Zooey
All
potentially in
tier from
trouble now
Olaf.
as the Viking Ragnarok's into the mid lane, but the Wei is just going to be able to walk away from that one very casually. Did have to use the flash, I suppose, so that is, somewhat of a success for Rutledge, but, the Ghost traded there as well, and now the Olaf's going to have to go back to top lane and continue laning against this incredibly scary Mordekaiser.
Yeah, trying to figure out what's the best route to go. And a pull all the way down that Rylai's is slowing
No
Olaf
Ghost, no ult. Rutledge is in so
well.
much trouble here. Nitro's going to drop the aggro, and he's going to move right back in. Yeah, Rutledge, you have to get the hell out of town. As the cease and desist is going to come through, that's going to be a kill on the mid laner. In the meanwhile, Olaf is not going to be able to get away from Nitro. 7-2 now on the scoreboard, and Syndicate are starting to run away with this first one.
Yeah, this is looking like a really bad pasta. In your idea, you have it.
Oh, good try there. The Swirl Seed. Oh, the minions block the Lilia Swirl Seed, and Nitro will survive.
I'm going to abandon the pasta thing I was going to say in lieu of favor of going to something a little bit more concrete. We just saw the Nautilus Vi Wombo combo on that, and it just looked so clean. They found the target, picked it off. They were in and out before the fight was even done, and I think that's what we're going to see more of here as well. Varus almost taking down the Poppy there.
Very, very close, yeah. Going to be able to pick up this minion wave. Dura and Trunks Solmo, I think, were predicted by many to be kind of the strong point of this TFF Aftershock roster. And they have been having a relatively comfortable lane so far down there in the 2v2, but the rest of the map is just absolutely falling apart around them. Maybe Kiora, I'm going to have to stop myself. Nitro is not going to be able to get the Olaf in the death row before the Ragnarok is cast, and that is going to be a revenge kill. Rutledge in the 1v1. That is the reason why you pick the Olaf into the Mordekaiser right there. Dredgeline is
Great
going to connect though
ultimate.
onto Kiora. The Drink's going to go down solo. The Severing Bolt to finish the job. Zooey claims another. Cocoa Puffs flashing forward now. Is going to get the Lullaby down onto the way. Gets it onto 2, actually. The Poppy charge into the wall. They're able to take down the mid laner. Nautilus trying to escape at the Blast Cone. Not able to do so. We'll show them all now. Is in a very difficult position. Sidestep on the Dark Matter, but this Varus has nowhere to go. No flash available. Double kill over to Cocoa Puffs in the jungle.
Yeah, Vi smiting at the end. They're trying to get the Scuttle, get a little bit of something positive at the end. But that Lilia now, 3, 1, and 2, 5 stacks already on the Dark Seal. So that's going to be a hot start and a little bit of counter with this team falling behind early in the top side, as well as Olaf picking up that kill, grabbing a little bit more, exuberance in his lane, being able to be like, okay, I might have this. Picking up the Hex Drinker early too. The changes on that, once that is fully rung up, will also greatly help him here in lane.
Yeah, no doubt. Definitely, I think some intelligent itemization from Rutledge. Try and stay alive there. Because you have, of course, the way magic damage as well. So he is going to get a lot of value from that MR from the Hex Drinker. But yeah, I think highlighting the fact that Cocoa Puffs does have these 3... Oh, I'm going to have to stop myself once again as we move into the bottom lane. Mollywop's looking to lock down onto Kiora here as the Vi has arrived, connects the Vault Breaker, and that is going to be the kill, cease, and desist follow-up onto the port as well. Chong Somo trying to get away with a steadfast presence, but it will be the double kill over to Will Show him on the Varus. Picks up his first 2 of the game.
Just being patient, waiting for that fight to come in, and Jinx did all they could here to try to get out. They knew that the pressure was coming in, stay in the pocket, but unfortunately not enough burst here as we see a little bit of more action in this mid lane.
Yeah, we do have the second round of grubs alive on the map right now, and the Lilia was able to secure the first cohort shortly after the first dragon went down earlier on. So it is pretty important for the side of Syndicate to be able to deny these next 3 grubs, prevent that buff from going over to TFF Aftershock. And they will be able to do so, it looks like, claim all 3 in this second group. They're going to be trading it for the second dragon. So these neutrals, very even so far here in game 1.
Yeah, and I don't see a real grub hoarding like we need to get it in order for the split push to be happening here. Unless you want to count the Mordekaiser, yes, that you have a giant early lead. But also in the team fight presence, you might want to be sticking around. Meanwhile, Poppy looking for a fight here.
Yeah, a little bit of a flank position there. Catches Zooey off guard. The way is going to be able to flash over the wall to stay alive for now. Nautilus may not be so lucky. Flashes away. Tries to survive. Maxim now. Vault Breaker in. Chong Somo on the run. Flashing forward for the Vi. Not quite able to finish the job as the Poppy taxis out with a heroic charge onto a minion. Although Chong's... Oh, the snipe as Kiora finds Mollywops with the Super Mega Death Rocket, and Poppy still on the run here. Is Chong going to be able to get the execute? Has 15 seconds passed? It has. And that is going to be absolutely excellent for the side of TFF Aftershock. They get another kill onto the Jinx. They get the Dragon, and they manage to not give over any more gold to their opponents.
Yeah, really smart move there. Grabbing the execute, wasting time, and then Jinx also making sure you're in a great area. You know the ward was just cleared there. Try to find it and ends up scoring the long takedown there. So more money back in their pockets. We see a little over 2K difference here. So not a lot considering where this top side is. And as I flip towards the top side gold, that's just about 2,000 more in the favor of
I will show him. In trouble down here in the bottom lane. Gonna get slept by the Lilia. Manages to trade one back, though. Varus now in the 1v2. All these Syndicate members finding the outplace in disadvantageous situations, able to maintain that 2,000 gold lead you were just talking about.
Yeah, a little bit of swinging back and forth here. We see the shutdowns coming in early. We saw the 500, the first one to take away towards the top side. So that a really great change that League implemented quite a bit ago now to help that balance. I remember what it was like way back when. I'm dating myself here, like season 2. If you fell behind, it was unfortunate. AP Master Yi, or you got a call in a kill in, and that was all she wrote.
Absolutely. This time around, things still relatively even overall. The game not swinging quite so drastically as maybe it did back in the day.
Yeah, bot side gold here, just about even on both sides. You look at the AD carry, they're going up bit by bit for each one of them here, as well as I want to take out the vision score as well, 30 to 40 here. Great job of just making sure that entire river right now is warded until some of those outside turrets fall and then starting to move those wards deeper. So a great job by the supports, just really getting aggressive on those, doing their due diligence, buying the vision wards, clearing everything out. It's one of those alignment aspects of football. You're not going to get praised for it, but it really is something that, contributes to the victory very heavily.
Oh, yes, a very important job. Support's often underappreciated right here in League of Legends. But you're absolutely right, Gitano. We do have to recognize when that important work is being done. The lane control is consistently been in favor of Syndicate for the most part. They're going to be able to use this lane priority on the top side to claim the Rift Herald. But meanwhile, we do have Cocoa Puffs making a play towards the bottom side as the Lilia makes an appearance. The Nautilus, locked up by the Keeper's Verdict, is going to get taken down. But once again, we'll show him able to trade back with the piercing arrow. And Lullaby still on cooldown for Cocoa Puffs. We'll show him able to trade back once again. Another arrow. It's come off cooldown once again, but flashing forward is Cocoa Puffs. The flash away for We'll show him. The Severing Bolt now is Waze teleported into the play. Cocoa Puffs desperate to try and take down this Varus before he falls. The Severing Bolt this time is not going to find the target, but the Blooming Blows will not either. The auto attack, the smite, not enough. Cocoa Puffs can't get in range to finish the job. And it's going to be another kill going over to Syndicate.
I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. Like, they're gonna be excited. We're not even 20 minutes in, and I feel like I just need popcorn in to watch everything.
Absolutely. I hope you get. I thought we were doing pasta reference. What is this about popcorn?
Pasta
pairing.
popcorn.
Whatever you
I'm
say,
retiring. Can't do it. I'm out.
All right. Well, we do have the dredge line connecting onto a wall, but that is going to be exactly where you wanted that dredge line, as the Vagar is going to get taken down by the Spiraling Despair. Meanwhile, Mordekaiser continuing to put on the pressure here in the top lane. Didn't quite get the charge, though, into the tier 2. His driving skills, I guess, not necessarily there for Nitro. Too fast, too furious in this situation, perhaps?
Too soon. Too soon. Pour out half the beer for Paul Walker. Look what you've done.
I'm sorry. We don't even have Broloff in the game. I don't even have... Does anybody here have beer?
I could grab one here.
Perfect.
We could make it an interesting cast. I probably should reserve anything like that, for a later time, maybe in the finals. Meanwhile, a fight breaking down here towards the bot lane. A little bit of
teleport behind for Nitros,
and
and Mordekaiser has a nice position here. Dredgeline connecting onto Trunks, Solmo as well. Lilia does connect that Blooming Blow onto 2. The sleep does come out, but carries are still relatively safe for Syndicate. It is going to be a couple of kills going over early on, though, but the Mordekaiser makes his presence felt. The mace comes down, and the side of TFF have been obliterated. The Ragnarok does come out, though. Zooey potentially in trouble. The way has the flash to get back over the wall, and even a blast cone for good measure, as now the Ragnarok has timed out. Oh, but the Olaf still relatively powerful, not powerful enough to turn that one around onto Nitro. Now Cocoa Puffs trying to come forward with the watch out Eep, and the Leandries will be enough to take down Zooey. Very chaotic fight there. I think in the end it was maybe a 4 for 2, but it's definitely Syndicate with control in the aftermath.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth here. They scarred out the Mordekaiser doing Cloud Drake.
Oh, nice.
Sending out the long range missile, unfortunately not going to connect. That fight was just back and forth for so often until the end. Olaf doing a great job, even behind, still becoming a very big threat here towards the backside, holding on to that Ragnarok. And unfortunately, Lilia just a little too far behind in order to follow up with that. But I think if it was just a second earlier, Lilia would have came back in, that fight would have had a different tune to sing.
And now the Lilia does have 2 items. Cocoa Puffs did not have the Riftmaker completed for that last team fight that we just saw. So TFF Aftershock are going to have another run at this first Cloud Dragon. And meanwhile, Nitro doesn't have the teleport this time, so can't get into that flank position necessarily. And we'll see if Syndicate still feel confident to come in here for the 5v5. They are positioned for it right now, grouping up here towards the bot lane, looking to make their way north into the river. So Dragon has been started off once again. Cocoa Puff's going to start fishing, but doesn't have the Lilting Lullaby quite back off cooldown just yet. Now it's Maxim on the flank position. Vi trying to make her way around to get one of these priority targets, as Mollywop's potentially going to get engaged on the Spiraling Despair, is going to connect onto Trunks. Almost, this Nautilus dies first, but both supports will be traded off. Season Desist on the Cocoa Puffs. The Lilia is down. Maxim, though, likely to get traded off as well. Both supports and junglers have been traded off now. As a nice Death's Grasp, the Mordekaiser makes the difference in the team fight once again. The Severing Bolt from Zooey will claim the last head, and it's going to be another win for Syndicate Crashers. They will secure their second dragon of the game.
Yeah, 8, 2, and 4 now. Those Syndicate bolts are doing mass amount of damage. I do want to highlight Poppy doing a great job sending the Mordekaiser out. They came right back into the engage, 5v4, but unfortunately did not have enough in the tank. You know, Vi trying to stall out a little bit and did just enough for Mordekaiser to come in. 8, 3, and 4, almost completed the third item now. And as soon as that happens, that Mordekaiser is going to be even more dangerous than he has been.
Yeah, an absolute menace. And, you know, we see Rutledge actually opting to complete the Sundered Sky before the Maw of Malmortius, just feeling like the Hex Drinker is going to be, you know, just what he needs in these team fights. But like we said earlier, I feel like that last fight where Rutledge was able to make, not, you know, the fight before the last fight, where Rutledge was able to make that big impact was unfortunately kind of an anomaly, as like we said at the beginning of the game, you know, when Olaf is behind, you know, he can really struggle to have that impact. And I don't think the same can be said for the Mordekaiser. I feel like Nitro is still going to be able to have these massive impacts in the team fights that we've been seeing so far. Getting ganked a little bit right now by a level 9 Poppy. That is a 5-level difference, Strong Soma. Let's be a little bit careful here. The big metal guy with the mace, very scary right now. As Shomal finds the Chain of Corruption on Cocoa Puffs, gets the flash out from the Lilia, as now Death's Realm has been cast onto that poor little level 9 Poppy as the Vault Breaker forward. The Lilia trying to get away. The hail of arrows will finish him off. Maxim, though, gonna get caught by the Flame Chompers. Kaora finding the kill with the Super Mega Death Rocket. That's one back over to TFF Aftershock, but Rutledge not getting away from this one. That's a double kill over to Wheel Show. And it is a 4v3 on the map. Syndicate Crashers once again on the offensive.
Yeah, really doing a good job of picking their team fights, making sure they're pushed up. And you see that ward coverage once again. Everything's pushed forward. They know what's going on. There's nothing they have to worry about behind. Meanwhile, Wei just sending out those bolts at great range, along with that bars as well, just poking them out almost before the fight starts here. If they look to engage, they have to back off.
Absolutely. But we see more of these turrets continuing to fall. Not a single structure has been taken so far by TFF Aftershock in this game. The map control has been pretty dominant from Syndicate, you know, despite the fact that some of these fights have ended up looking pretty messy. Kaora has been able to get some work done. It is that lethality Jinx build that you called out for us all the way back in the draft. But overall, you know, the map play has just been so much better for Syndicate so far.
Yeah, it seems like they're roaming really well and just chain CCing these combos together. Having said that, though, there's still time here as Poppy's looking to go in.
Yeah, oh, that Chain of Corruption not going to land. Keeper's Verdict can come out now. That is not going to land either. And now Trong Somo is going to get braked in the vault. And that is going to be a kill for Maxim. Number 2 for the Vi in this game. Number 26 for the Crashers. As now they do have a 5v4 once again. They're moving towards the Baron. This is very early in the game still, Gitano, and we have a lethality AD carry. This is not a fast Baron, but maybe they're just trying to bait it. We see them moving in, clearing out this vision for now.
Yeah, I think it's a smart idea not to try to force it. Yes, you have a person up, but that Baron this early, and like you just mentioned, the lethality is not going to help you do anything here. Meanwhile, Wei, also a big factor and part of that, is not going to be able to help. I do like them sending Wei out, having the 4-man group. You know, you can send Mordekaiser, you can send Wei. Either one of those two on the side is going to cause massive mayhem where you have to send an extra person. And we saw that towards the top on that last fight, that Poppy. 5 levels down, going up there, trying to start something, but with that massive of lead and that difference, it really is almost a non-factor, unfortunately. Poppy's not going to be able to do much to help you against that. So it starts to become a little bit of a time game now. Yes, you are hyper-scaling, but so is that Mordekaiser. Now with that Rift Maker complete as well, there's that 3-item burst that every time I see, as soon as those 3 items are complete, you have to have the answer by then. If you do not have the answer, you're going to have to send multiple people and start sacrificing something on the other side of them.
We'll show him just sniping the big chicken there with a cheeky little arrow. That is, as our producer just said, very, very rude, but understandable. that you would want to go for that. I mean, chicken is delicious after all, so
It's not
can't
pasta,
really
though.
blame him. Well, you can add chicken pasta though. There are
You
many
can.
lovely chicken pasta dishes, so
Chicken
I think
Alfredo,
that's consistent.
one of my
Absolutely.
favorites.
You do have another dragon, our second cloud dragon, spawning in the immediate future, as that is going to be secure on the blue buff. Rutledge not able to get that one away from the hungry maws of the Syndicate Crashers. Mollywops, though, is going to be able to dredge line away from
Oh,
the
no.
Olaf. Meanwhile, looking back towards the top side, Nitro Dax in a little bit of an interesting situation here. Does have the death realm, but just gets CC'd 100-0. The Mordekaiser taken down. Take a look at the mid lane here as the other top laner is going to get taken down by Vi and Nautilus. So both top laners finding themselves in the death chamber, although it was an additional kill picked up by Syndicate. They managed to find Kiora as well, as the Jinx burning down on the back end of that last fight as the dot from the way, if I'm not mistaken, that took that kill.
Yeah.
Ah, I was
Red buff
mistaken.
will get you every time here. A little bit of miscommunication on the TP. There's a little bit of a dance around Baron. They saw 3, on the far side of it, and they thought, hey, if we get here early enough. But the Olaf causing so much havoc, making sure the Nautilus and the Vi were caught up there, not unfortunately to, help with the fight, kind of really set them off in a bad direction.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit split there for the side of TFF. And once again, in the aftermath of the fight, map control going over to Syndicate Crashers. They secure themselves their second Cloud Dragon. They are now on Cloud Soul Point. And let's take a moment, Gitano, to consider Fed Mordekaiser with Cloud Soul.
It's fine. This is the dog in hell.
Fine.
Fire's going everywhere. You have your cup of coffee and you go, it's fine. It's fine. It's not a
Absolutely
problem
fine.
unless we make it a problem.
Childish Gambino walking into the room with, in this meme, in this particular meme, we have some to-go containers full of pasta instead of pizza boxes. But same concept. And yeah, definitely the side of TFF Aftershock not feeling fantastic, I have to imagine, about the fact that the room is currently on fire. They are a little over 6,000 gold behind, it looks like. Looking to pick off Nitro Dax once again here. He's going to get charged into a wall. Very heroic from Chunk Solmo, but maybe not the best strategy if you would like to keep his health bar.
I see what you did there. The heroic. I see it. I see it. I respect it. I don't know if I like it, but I will respect it.
That's all I
Mordekaiser
need.
getting a little aggressive here with the blast plan, finding the poppy. A fight could be breaking out here any second as they're looking aggressive.
Oh, Chong Somo going to let it rip there with the Keeper's Verdict. That is one going to be on cooldown now. The Death Realm still available for Nitro Dax. Mordekaiser not quite able to get to that level 16 mark yet, but I have to imagine that is another breakpoint that he is pretty close to. Take a quick look here. Oh, about halfway to level 16. A little bit of time still until the Mordekaiser managed to get there. Spiraling Despair going to connect, though, in the mid lane onto the Jinx. The carry for TFF. Kiora is going to be able to survive, but can't participate in the team fight. The sleep is absolutely fantastic, though, from the Lilia. The deaths come through. So many people hitting the floor there as Nitro Dax is going to get taken down on the end there from No Name's Primordial Burst. Absolutely chaotic fight there. So much damage done so quickly as the Jinx Ultimate, I believe, helping out with that burst as well. And that is finally a team fight win over to TFF Aftershock. They get the 4 for 3.
Yeah, even with the Jinx being caught out there, the Flash Mordekaiser, the ult hitting down from way, and it really just forced them back. But the Rocket had enough momentum, grabbed a little bit of damage, and that Viger coming in, that high skill cap ult. It's tough to hit that thing, all right? You got to click, you got to point, and you got to make sure it's on the right target. But needless to say, 200 and, let me grab it here, 52 stacks here for the Viger. So that is going to be the death cap as well complete. And let's see what he is sitting on for AP. 761. Give it another 10 minutes and you're hitting 1,000 and you're going to be hitting like a freight train here.
Yeah, definitely No Name scaling into this game very, very nicely. We were kind of mourning the lack of scaling for the Olaf, but we do need to consider as well, and remember, right, the fact that Veigar and Jinx are going to be absolutely able to carry their weight here as we move into the late game. So control around the Baron once again seems to be the objective for the side of Syndicate Crashers. They move in there, steal away the chickens once again. Nitro Dax finding Rutledge in the bush. Mordekaiser is going to have to go for the ultimate here, most likely. It's about to come off cooldown for him, as he is able to cast it onto Cocoa Puffs. That's the Lilia trapped in there, but the Lilia is pretty powerful, and the Mordekaiser is going down extremely low. The rest of the team, though, arrives, and the Varus will show him all comes in, along with the rest of the squad. Rutledge trying to take him down, but it's not quite enough. As at least that is 1 kill back for Kaora on the other side of the fight, able to take down Maxim as the Jinx, as Arcane Season 2, anybody, takes down her sister. And that is going to be the Leandri's burn on to No Name. Zooey claims another kill, 11-2 now on the way. Another team fight win now for Syndicate. They're going to be able to push in the mid lane, take this tier 2. Health bar's not quite there, though, to go for the Baron, and they did lose their jungler in the exchange. So feels like Aftershock are hanging on still, but just by a thread.
Yeah, it's a team fight, not exactly where you wanted to start it off here. Team's a little chaotic back and forth. But in the midst of everything, the Mordekaiser taking the Lilia, as you mentioned while he did that, not the best option here. Does not have any more stacking for the, oh my god, I am really blanking here. What are we stacking on for AP? The
Wait, which champion are we talking about?
The AP stacking. The
for,
Doran, or not Doran. Why am I blanking?
The Archangel's staff? Is that?
No, the kills. When you get the kills, you get the stacks.
Oh,
yeah, there you go, Magi. She doesn't have the prelude to the Magi's anymore. She had that at one point, but no longer here. I'm taking up a lot of time. Meanwhile, Mordekaiser's taking up a lot of the damage.
Is he going to be able to survive, and is going to have the ultimate back off cooldowns. Cocoa Puffs flashing in there, finds the sleep onto the way, but the Cloud Soul is already gone over, and now Zooey's flashed away, trying to stay alive. Nautilus might have to be sacrificed, as all the damage from the way. Zooey is the one who's stacking. He's stacking up bodies from the enemy team, as Kaora now the last one, able to do some damage, but Maxim on the flank. Oh, the Keeper's Verdict, though, gets rid of the Vi. Kaora will be able to survive thanks to the Poppy, still holding on to that ultimate. But Cloud Soul now has gone over. Things just going from bad to worse for the side of Aftershock.
All right, now the fire is spread a little bit closer to you. It's something you might have to consider at this point, as Baron now taking a look at it, and there's nothing for them to do, unfortunately, for TF side to get to it. They do have great vision control on the other side in case someone does try something cheeky, minus the Jinx rocket. Comes in a little late, unfortunately. Not able to get there, but 14, 2, and 7. Do you think this is going to be a point of pick or ban for next game?
Well, no, I don't, Gitano, because we have a fearless draft system. So
I'm just going to sit here and eat a fruity tootie and enjoy my time of casting while I have the ability to. And
it's okay.
Next time, I hope someone pays more attention than I.
We're totally fine. This is our first season with the Fearless Draft System and our first game of that first season. So I think we're all going to need a little bit of time to do some adjusting. I am not worried about it in the slightest. But I think one thing that Aftershock should be worried about is the fact that Syndicate Crashers here are pushing up in the mid lane. And they are looking hungry for some more turrets. At least that one turret, the bot lane tier 1, was claimed by the side of Aftershock. So they managed to get at least one structure so far. In this one, it might just be the only one they managed to secure. Those 4-1 is the setup right now for Syndicate. Nitro Dax pushing in the bot lane, getting that wave into position. Only really a cannon and a couple of casters to work with for now. There's the next wave coming in. They're not quite synced up here for the side of Syndicate Crashers, so the side of Aftershock could move over here to try and defend, as Rutledge kind of taking matters into his own hands here on the Olaf, trying to move forward. Pops the Ragnarok. The Death Realm, though, has already been cast. The Mordekaiser is just too powerful. Brings down the mace once again, and Kaora gets pulled back by the Death's Grasp. Nitro Dax started things off, and it looks like he will be the one to finish them. Chung Somo getting pulled back once again. Well, Nitro flashing over the wall takes him down. This kill going over to the Varus. Cocoa Puffs, one of the last to survive, not able to get anything done. No Name will cease and desist being alive, and that is going to be the end of game number 1. Syndicate Crashers take the first Nexus of the season.
I called it. I knew as soon as I picked something, it's going to
It's all your fault, Gitano.
It is. I forget there's Fearless. I'm calling games where I shouldn't. It's, everyone's, understanding right now, but as soon as we as soon as we get about 8 games in this season, we'll see if everyone's still carrying the same tune. What a game for game one. Oh, let's take a look
Yeah.
at these stats.
It got a little saucy, it got a little messy there in some of the fights, some tomato on some faces, I think is what we did manage to see in that game. But overall, I think pretty clean from the side of Syndicate Crashers, just in terms of how they're able to control those objectives, right? Their strategy, I think, was clearly where it needed to be. They were able to outplay their opponents in the moments that mattered. And Nitro Dax on that Mordekaiser, absolute menace.
Yeah, between Mordekaiser and Wei kind of running the show here, Vars did a great job of just keeping the bot lane where it's at, a status quo until it was time to shine there. And also a great job by Syndicate grabbing the rotations, making sure they're training the objectives wisely. And then when it came to those team fights, they really had a good control of the fight before it even started. And unfortunately, Olaf not able to come around the side, falling behind early, and just not quite able to have the same presence. We take a look at the damage charge. He did great, but unfortunately, there just was not enough to carry him through towards that mid to late here.
Yeah, I mean, considering the fact that Rutledge did fall so far behind in the early game, right? The fact that he ended up doing the most damage on the team was pretty impressive, honestly. He really, clearly the mental game he was able to stay in it. And even down the stretch, was really trying to do everything that he could with the Olaf pick to try and create some disruption in those team fights and dive onto the enemy backline, prevent the carries from doing damage, right? But in the end, he was just just a little bit too squishy, not able to survive quite as long as he needed to really make the difference. And I think it is going to be pretty close here. The POG battle, a first POG of the season between Nitro and Zooey. You called out the way as well. We'll show them also had a great game on the Varus, to be fair. Lots of strong performances here from Syndicate Crashers in game number 1. Who would you give the POG to, Katana?
I'm gonna have to go with the Mordekaiser. Just consistent throughout the entirety of it. Really starting it off early and just making sure it was always a nuisance. Great pulls on every side, really ready to commit. And minus the one TP that I saw, almost a flawless game.
Yeah, I mean, I just think the fact that it kind of started with Nitro, right? The fact that he was able to find the 1v2 outplay all the way back at level 3, that just kind of set the tone for the game for me and had a great impact in the team fights as well, right? That is kind of the one area of the game where Mordekaiser can sometimes struggle, right? Because he has no mobility. It can be really hard for him to get on top of those priority targets, but Nitro was able to get himself into some great positions, landed some great ease, like you mentioned, and really kind of led the charge, I think, for the squad here in game number 1. Any other final thoughts on this first game, Katano?
I'm hungry. I'm ready for pasta. Can we take a half hour? We can't take a half hour break. But needless to say, we'll take a small break here, unless you had any words of wisdom here before we head in.
No, I'm just ready to see what these teams are going to be cooking up for us in game 2. Let's go to that short break. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back to week 1 of Blue Otter Emerald. We are, of course, going to be swapping sides for this second game. TFF Aftershock going to try their hand at the blue side this time around. And really quickly, let's give everybody a refresher on which champions are not. Oh, we already have them on the overlay. Look at that. No refresher. Well, I guess I could just. Nah, it's fine. You can all see them right there. It's too many champions for me to go ahead and list. We can't talk about the new bans, I guess, as the Talia, Akshan, Aurora. Oh, weren't those banned out last time around as well? Oh, it's only the champions that were picked that are automatically ineligible. Okay, yeah. So the Talia, Akshan, Aurora, Volibear, Amumu, and Seraphine gonna get banned away here. And then the MF first pick, Katana. What do you think about that MF first pick?
It's can be a really abusive in lane, and as soon as you get to that team fights, depending what build you're going, I'm guessing we're going to see lethality, but I could definitely be wrong. Great team fight start. So if I'm on Syndicate, I might want to start prepping my team a little early this, maybe taking away some sort of action. Braum, great pick for a counter for the MF, putting up the wall. Depending on what skin you're using, I might cheer for Braum. Otherwise, I don't know if I can. If it's Santa, it's not Christmas time, but I still enjoy seeing them just, Christmas hat and all running around.
That's the skin we're looking for, is Santa Braum.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm not
Okay.
I'm not calling it. There's other skins out there, but it would make me happy.
We'll see. We'll see. The Molly Wop's skin choice, definitely something we're going to be keeping an eye on here. But the Udyr is going to come through for Aftershock. So not necessarily a team fighting champion in the traditional sense, but can provide some front line for the Misfortune, can create that little bit of space. The Yuumi, I think we would not like to see necessarily, as just to, moving through some enchantery options here. The Bard would be an interesting choice.
I was really
But the
hoping for the
Leona, I
Bard.
think, makes a little bit more sense. The Leona does feel a little bit bad in the sense that it would be rough into the Braum, and
Yes,
there he is.
the Bard. I'm always a big fan of the chimes. Your alt make or breaks a lot of this, and the way that the team fights are going, if you can really find a good group setup, it allows your team to move forward, get that positioning, and a great MF all on top of that is going to spell disaster. Speaking of disaster, towards the other side, J4 could be spelling out his own words here for the MF. Kind of a double-edged sword. You could catechism everyone into the alt, or you can really kind of run someone down, make sure they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, definitely. The Jarvan, I feel like, is something that we don't see very often these days, right? It's pretty much entirely disappeared from Pro, and I haven't really been seeing it at all in solo queue either, for the most part. So definitely a little bit of an interesting choice here for Syndicate. But it can be really powerful into the MF, right? Because the fact she locks herself in place to go for the bullet time means that she can be very susceptible to those flag and drag combos. So we'll see what the team fight setup is going to look like for Syndicate here in this game. They have the makings of a pretty nasty team fighting composition as well. In the second ban phase now, Aurelion Sol and Yasuo going to get banned away.
Yeah, I'm looking for the J4 something to wombo combo with that, whether you have the Diana, the Galio, Oriana, anything like that. And I think that's also why they took away Yasuo. A good flag could drag into a team. Instant knockup. It's like a Malphite basically coming in. That could be also something that they're possibly looking at too. I play J4, and especially when you see that immobile side where there is no dash out, if you get the lead ahead and your team is able to follow up, especially in this setting where you have the team comp, voices, everyone ready to go, hopefully on the same page, it really can spell disaster for them here. Victor also being banned away here. I am a big Victor player as well. Once you get those
Victor
upgrades,
and Jarvan. Wait, which role do you main?
I main mid, and then I usually will pick jungle
Okay.
for my
Jarvan
secondary.
mid. Oh, okay.
It could happen. No,
I mean, it
I throw
exists. It
jungle.
is a thing. So is
I'll
Vi
play
mid,
Alawi
right?
mid before J4 mid. But
Sure.
ooh, some spicy stuff coming out here. Yon
Mhm.
getting looked at. Gragas being taken out towards the other side. Do you think we're going to see a Narvin by chance?
A Narvin. Oh, that could be a fun pairing. It would make this composition very light on magic damage. So that, might be something they're a little bit concerned about, but they are going to see the entire composition for TFF Aftershock, right? So if Udyr is going to end up being the only tank then maybe you don't really care about the lack of AP damage, as Kale being considered, as is the Heimerdinger. The Syndra, at least we can talk about because she has been locked in. But that pick, I think it feels a little bit scary to me to be playing the Syndra into the Yone. I mean, the Syndra might have a little bit of a difficult time to actually get away from some of these knockups. What do you think about that choice to go for Syndra into Yone?
I play Syndra a lot into Yone. It's actually my #1 counter when I see one. It works really well. Your ult, Yone cannot escape. As long as you save your E and you don't blow that scatter, it works really well. As soon as he comes to you, you know it's that beeline. Throw on the ball, scatter the weak, hit your third proc, you get the electrocute, and if you get a lead, it is really impressive as Yone because as Yone player, you want to go in, you want to follow up. But on the opposite side, I also see where you're coming from with the Yone because as soon as he gets on you, there is no escape, and you just have to hope and pray that he gives you a little bit of space. So I'm a big fan of the Syndra pick into the Yone. Um,
Okay.
that's my
Yeah, I
hot
definitely could
take.
see that as well. I mean, the Yone engage is often pretty telegraphed, right? He just kind of runs at you, like you were
Yep.
saying. So he can line himself up for those scatters pretty nicely. I definitely could see that working out okay for the Syndra. And then, of course, like you also said, the unleashed power, even if he snaps back to the body, he's not going to be able to get away from that Syndra ultimate. So that is definitely going to be an interesting matchup to watch in the mid lane. But we do have to now, I think, turn our attention towards what our top laners have selected, Gitano. That was, I think, the main story, at least in the early game of game number 1. And, this is definitely a pretty different look this time around for Rutledge over there, going to the Kennen. What do you think about that matchup?
Yeah, I think it's going to favor them kind of match up a little early, just until Dr. Mundo gets his core items basically built for him, and then he's going to go where he pleases, as he always does. But I do
Mhm.
like the Kennen pick. It's a great pickup to help with the MF as well as the Bard Wombo combo. Bard ult, you hit the Kennen ult right on top as soon as they get out. There's no chance of getting away. You do have great ratios. You scale very well. I'm a big fan of the Kennen pick. And Dr. Muno on the other side, just bringing up that AP and that nuisance. As soon as you start get going, there's no stopping you as you're going to be a run and gun machine. There's not a lot of chain CC either. Mundo having that ability to shake off that first clamp of CC. And there's not a lot to stop that unless, you kind of layer 2 or 3.
Yeah, absolutely. So it will be, I think, pretty key for Rutledge to have a better early laning phase than what we saw last
Yeah.
game, right? Because the Mundo, similar to the Mordekaiser, like you were just talking about, once he does get towards those 2 or 3 item breakpoints, he does tend to get relatively unkillable. So you're going to need to put the Mundo behind early to really get this team fighting Wombo combo composition into a good place for TFF Aftershock. And that is, I think, where we're going to have to put a lot of our attention in this early game once again. But that being said, let's move our attention now over to the jungle. Because speaking of early game attention, Jarvan is an interesting champion because he is more so than I think almost any other champion in the game reliant on finding success in the early game, right? While you can have a lot of value later on with good cataclysm placement and locking targets up in these team fights to set up for your team, the Jarvan himself really does have the most effectiveness in those first couple of levels, right? Once you get access to the flag and drag, you really want to try and find an impact in one of these lanes as early as possible. So if you are Jarvan in this game, how do you think you're playing this one out in the jungle? What does your early pathing look like, and what are you trying to accomplish here with your first look at ganks?
You could definitely look at towards the bot lane. MF Bard, you can catch either one of those out. Preferably the MF, the Bard, just going to do that magical journey, which everyone, you have to take it. As soon as it's set down, you're going for it no matter what. It's just the rule of League of Legends. Otherwise, towards the mid lane as well, Cinder is very immobile. Once you start to see the scatter, sorry, come out or anything like that, she's going to be vulnerable for it. So it wouldn't be, you know, out of the mind to say, hey, level 2 or 3, maybe something cheeky goes on. You come from behind on Syndra and just wombo combo with the Yone.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Jarvan does have some really nice options there. in terms of looking for that early impact. And Syndicate as well, they were somewhat quiet in the early game last time around, top lane notwithstanding. It was really just kind of more than anything. I felt like it was Nitro absorbing that early game pressure that Aftershock were trying to put out and just kind of flipping it around on them, right? This time around, maybe Syndicate will try to be a little bit more proactive in that early game and creating that lead for themselves. Definitely feels like they have the tools to do it.
All right, Kroom. So I'm gonna flip it on you a little bit. You asked me last time first. I'm
Oh
gonna
no.
let you go
Oh
first,
no.
and you let me know what you're thinking.
Oh man. It is interesting, right? Because, while overall the trajectory of that last game was mostly up and to the right for the side of Syndicate, the team fights definitely were pretty contentious. Aftershock absolutely had some moments there, and it does feel like, with this composition that they have drafted in game 2, it is, better. They have more team fighting tools than they did previously. So, maybe in that regard, I think I do like their chance. They got the blue side as well. We all know blue side buff is real, right? I feel like they should have the tools that they need to take us to that game 3. And it's worth noting as well. I briefly mentioned a couple of those content pieces, at the beginning of the cast. A couple of those content pieces that did come out. And, the prediction from Genetics in favor of Aftershock was a 2-1 prediction. So, if you subscribe to, Genetics' predictive abilities, we're still on track here for TFF Aftershock. They may have lost the first game, but they absolutely could still win the next 2 and, give him that first correct prediction of the season.
Yeah, it's game 1 is always that feel out. It's definitely not a death sense of, oh man, now it's a do or die. It isn't a sense of best of 3, but I feel like there's a lot of room. It's game 1 of the season, of the entire thing. Just go out, see what happens. I'm predicting game 3 as well. I'm gonna go with them. I really hope this Syndra pick can prove me right on this one, and I'm not gonna just smack my head against my keyboard here. As if you end up hearing random noises of bunches, just know that's what it is.
Hopefully, we are going to be able to enjoy the cooking here for TFF Aftershock in game number 2. We shall see, guys. We're going to go to another short break, and then we're going to get onto the Rift for our second game of the night. Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Rift for our second game of the night. Once again, we are swapping sides for this one. TFF Aftershock taking up positions on the blue this time around, and we've got our game one winner, Syndicate Crashers, on the red side, looking for the 2-0. But that is not our prediction, right, Gitano?
Correct. It's going to go 1-1. We're going deep into the night with some midnight pasta cooking on the third game.
That is the plan. Let's see if our friends at TFF are going to be able to get us there, as they are in a little bit of hot water right after losing game number one. You know, we called the water boiling earlier. I think we just got really excited about the references, but we are realistically absolutely getting to that point now, right?
Yeah, water's boiled already. You're ready to drop the pasta. This will kind of show us what are
We're
we cooking
salting
with?
the
Is it
water now.
is it is it penne that we're doing? Is it elbow? Is it
Hmm.
angel hair pasta? You know, there's a many options, but this game two will tell us exactly what we're doing. I hope it's not ramen. You know, let's.
I imagine if we do get to game three, then Tom Kench is a guaranteed lock-in, right?
It
Like,
would
I don't
have
see
to be.
any world where we don't get Tom
There's
Kench
no
in
other
game three.
option. And if they
Yeah.
don't, they no longer get banned throughout the season. I'm sure
Automatic
we can.
FF, is that how it
Oh,
works?
true. Baker
Okay,
Pantheon as well.
fair. You know, if
There's
we
a
bring
lot of food.
skins into the conversation, then yeah, that's a whole different ballgame. But getting a little ahead of ourselves here, let's focus on game two for now, as we do have our jungler starting on opposite sides, as we can see here. So the Jarvan starting top side on his red buff, and the Udi are going for a little bit of interesting Raptors into Krugs. You know, going to increase the duration of his red buff for any potential early skirmishes.
Level 2 here for the Bard, collecting that chime early, just given a little bit of advantage. And I'm looking at the Braum, and fortunately I didn't get the skin I wanted. I'm kind of
Not Santa
disappointed.
Brom. Oh dear, what did we go for instead? It's, El
Or-
Tigre, right?
Yeah, it's
Chair.
the chair's not big enough. If you had a giant Christmas door just jingling, you know, like I feel like the chair was banned. You know, after the PG-13 era, you don't see it.
Hmm. Yeah, that's fair. Maybe if it was, you know, more of a heavy duty chair. I mean, just a folding chair. It feels, you know, a little bit flimsy, right? If we're talking like, I don't know, what would be a good, like one of those big chair, like an armchair. You know, I don't
Yeah,
know how you would wield that necessarily. It seems, you know, maybe logistically a little bit difficult, but
one of those
certainly I think
lazy
it would be
boys.
more threatening at the very least if somebody is walking at you carrying an armchair under one arm. You know, you'd be
Yeah,
intimidated, right?
for sure. I mean, even like a giant, you know, a love cushion, or you know, something one of those giant beanbag chairs. That thing, as soon as you get crushed by it, you're suffocating. You know,
Oh
a
yeah.
wooden bamboo chair, not so much.
Junglers have completed their full clears. They're moving into the river now to take some shellfish. It's on the menu now. Adding some shellfish to our pasta. So we already got some chicken in there, so we're really chefing it up
Ooh.
in the kitchen right now. We'll see
Do
how
you
it
want
turns
to add
out.
both though? Do you want to add the
I don't
chicken
know.
and the shrimp?
I'm really not sure. We're just gonna have to see how it turns out, I think.
Limiting your options on the sauce. That's all I'm saying.
Hmm. Yeah, it's definitely something we are gonna need to consider. The Jarvan actually is going to be able to move into the enemy jungle here and identifies the Raptor start for Cocoa Puffs. It's going to facilitate that takeaway on the camp for Maxim. So +1 for the Jarvan early on. Not able to make an impact in any of these lanes just yet, but at least a slight farm lead is something he can hang his hat on for now.
Yeah, a small one at that here. We'll see BOL and Jarvan though, looking for the counter gank
Here
here.
he comes, but the magical journey is going to take the bar back towards the turret. Trunks almost flashing away, barely staying alive with the Guardian, and now Cocoa Puffs is here. The damage coming out, the early game power of the MF. She flashes forward, takes down the enemy carry. It's a double kill over to Kaora. Maxim EQ away to try and stay alive, but the damage already been done. That is going to be TFF Aftershock off to a great start here in the early game.
That is what you wanted to see. MF already just a giant threat after the double kill. And of course, I called it. The Bard journey. As soon as it's thrown down, you have to follow it.
You
You
have
see
to.
3 members going through, and it gets you in trouble. A hot start. Udyr now starting the dragon. We'll see what we end up with. If it's another Cloud Dragon, that could spell Major disaster again here for them, but we'll see what happens after the Hex Tech will be taken.
Yeah. It's going to be an easy secure for Cocoa Puffs and the rest of the squad. Be able to get this first dragon. I believe they did get the first dragon, or no, they got the first round of grubs, I think, last game with the Lilia for
Yes. Yep.
Cocoa Puffs. And then we traded off from there. Our first grubs this game, not spawning yet until 15 more seconds. So we'll see if we're going to have those trades coming through once again. Jarvan is not amazing at taking those grubs necessarily. It does take a lot of damage when he goes for that particular objective.
Yeah, and I want to call out the bot lead start here for the MF, grabbing up the BF sword and the call as well. We see on the opposite side, opposing that for the Aphelios, grabbing up the Vampiric Scepter. So a little bit of lack of damage, better sustain though in the lane, but the amount that you're going to be taking from the MF on just even a single double up might not be, you know, worth the Vampiric Scepter as it's coming in. Bard though, taking the journey and looking for a little harass.
Fortunately, Will Show 'em was playing far enough back there to not really be threatened by that journey from the Bard. And I do really like this rotation up towards the top side, right, from Mollywops to guarantee that neutral trade will come through, as all three of that first round of grubs going to go over to Maxim and the side of Syndicate. Does mean that the Aphelios has to play back a little bit, but you're not trying to win this 2v2 lane anyways, right? So Aphelios can just take a step back, pick up what farm he can, and continue to scale towards that first item.
Yeah, Braum passive, just something super early. You have to be so aware of how that can turn the tides very early here. Going back and forth, the scatter there from the Syndra, great job of pushing him away, holding onto that to the very end here. So great job using that poke. And Aphelios trying to just thin out the wave with the turret is going to get some good ones. It's always pressure. You know, a giant wave's coming at you. Can you set it up properly? But it looks like he's doing a great job.
Yeah. I think players at this level are able to last hit under turrets relatively consistently. I think once you get, up towards Emerald, that is a skill that most 80 carries at least do possess. And we'll show them able to show us that very nicely. Strong Somo gonna get Cataclysmed. Here has the Mystical Journey, but he isn't able to cast it on the Cataclysm itself. Actually gets it on the wall instead. Zooey, though, a great Fate Sealed onto 2, just doesn't quite have the damage just yet. And now Maxim may have overextended the bullet time over the top. The Jarvan cannot get away, and Kaora's on a killing spree.
Yeah, Aphelios next on the menu here. They are going to let him get away. Braum, unfortunately, not able to put up the shield just in time. But that fight started. It was a great job blocking the Bard there, standing right in front of the journey and not letting him through.
Yeah. Strong. So I don't even know how that happened, honestly. He was, I imagine, trying to cast the Mystical Journey on the Cataclysm itself, but ended up overshooting it, and so wasn't actually able to get out to take the journey. I'm sure he desperately wanted to, but just wasn't able to do so, as we'll show them. Exhausted here towards the bot side, running very low on HP as well. Has the lifesteal ultimate, though, so it gets a little bit of health back there. Now the Braum passive, stanging up on a Chunk Solmo. Bard, though, healthy enough to walk that one off. Pretty close call towards the bot side. Nobody going down just yet, but both junglers smelling blood in the water, waiting in the wings. Max, I'm going to find the Udyr in the bush, able to flag and drag away. And it looks like it will be the disengage from the 3v3.
Yeah, a little bit of handshake afterwards. The exchange there. No ult from MF coming up or Bard, unfortunately, being used here. Meanwhile, Aphelios on the other side having free reigns of it, and Bard using the exhaust wisely to grab a little bit of space between here. Bard not quite done. It's been so long since
Didn't have
I've
any
seen Bard.
vision.
I'm happy. I'm happy with it. No matter what
Happy
happens at the
chime
end of the
noises
game.
from Gitano.
Just minor little squeaks coming out of me for seeing the Bard.
No, thank you. It's a real shame that you guys weren't able to hear that happy chime noise demonstrated by Oz. That was absolutely perfect. But
I thought it
have
was
to
a real
take our
life
word for it.
gong being hit.
I thought we actually had Bard in the call with us. Yeah. But, anyways, we are going to get another dragon spawning in about 30 seconds here. This would be obviously pretty fantastic for TFF Aftershock if they're able to stack that one up and get the first 2. It is going to be spawning concurrently with the second round of grubs. So ditto for the side of Syndicate. they can get those grubs, get that nice buff for themselves. You know, Mundo and Yone in the side lane later on with 6 grubs, pretty threatening.
Yeah, it can definitely be something that is going to be a panic hit for him here. Yone, great job being on the side, being able to get in and get out of those sticky situations with his kit, not even needing Flash to get over the terrain and whatnot here. But Dragon being taken, no one's really rotating around, and I think they're going to give this one up here for the Grubs.
Yeah. So just like game number 1, Gitano, we're going to see these neutrals traded off very evenly for both sides. 1 dragon apiece, 3 grubs apiece. A nice scatter going to connect in the mid lane. Zui healthy enough to not be too bothered about it.
He's got to take the journey. There's no option. We're going to have to start banhammering people for not taking the magical journey. If that thing pops
Not
up,
okay.
you must take it. It is law. It's immutable. It's like gravity. It's just there.
Yeah. It's more powerful than taking the Lee Sin syndrome effect, is what I'm hearing here.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
It's palpable that. It's right there.
Yeah, I guess maybe Zui's just not aware of the power of the mystical journey. Is going to be able to go in, has level advantage over No Name right now, so that is going to be a positive trade for the Yone. For the most part, we've been seeing this matchup work out as you predicted in the Syndra's favor, but Zui able to get a little bit of damage done there.
Yeah. I think the difference too, I run the app, or what do you call it? The shock. The why am I blinking so hard? Today is failing me.
Aftershock?
The 3 proc.
On Yone? Press the
No,
attack?
on Syndra. When you
Syndra.
hit 3 abilities.
Proc Syndra. Oh,
Red.
Phase Rush.
Nope, red.
Electrocute.
There we go, electrocute. There we go. I am
Ah,
really
there it is.
failing on my words. That's the lack of pasta in my system. It's like blood pressure for me, but without pasta.
Like
That's-
word. Yeah. Oh, well, let's just we're gonna keep cooking on
Alphabet
that.
soup. Yeah, we'll come back to it. Anyway,
Yeah, we'll revisit that later.
we're
Yeah,
talking
that's pretty
about
much
it.
what I was going for. Yeah.
Oh,
Um.
man.
So we do have a pretty close game so far. It's only 1.5K gold lead in advantage for Aftershock at the moment, and they are going to be scaling up pretty nicely. You know, they do have to be a little bit worried about Yone and Aphelios getting a bunch of items later on. But, you know, the thing about team fighting compositions like this, like what Aftershock rather have drafted for themselves in this game, is that even when you're against strong scaling drafts, if you find the right engage, if you find the right team fight, you know, all the gold in the world for your opponents won't really save them. If you get Kennen ultimated into bullet timed, you know, that's just all she wrote.
I was just gonna ask you what a good combination looked like as you're doing it. So you already beat me to the punch on that one. So well played.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, that's. I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. What
Yeah.
Aftershock are going to be trying to do here. You mix in a tempered fate there as well, of course. If Trunk Somo is going to be able to set that one up, but you know, the other thing to consider as well, though, is I think the only real priority target they're going to be looking for is the Aphelios, right? And speaking of which, they are going to find the Aphelios. Hide on Bush Strat's going to work out beautifully for him. The bullet time over the top. KO on a rampage. Teleport in for the Kennen. Slicing Maelstrom just for good measure as they take down Molly Wops as well. 2 more kills over to Aftershock, and they're going to be able to extend that gold lead just a little bit further.
What a Bush strat right there. Just being patient, waiting for them to come in. Yes, you have the scanner and you're going to see them, but unfortunately it's going to be too little too late at that point. And a great job. Tower being the aftermath here for them taking that. So Mundo also doing a great job of smacking down that tower. Isn't going to quite get it though, as Kennen and Udyr rotate up. A minute 30 here for the Dragon. Do you think it's going to come right as soon as cooldown, or as soon as it pops up, it's going to be a contention? Or do you think they're going to be happy to just kind of let it sit there for a while?
I mean, I think it depends on cooldowns and map position is really, I think, what that dragon will likely come down to. You do see Shelly getting secured right now for the Crashers, so they might be able to utilize the Rift Herald to gain some position around that objective and secure it for themselves. We do have that Cloud Soul once again, as you kind of were foreshadowing for us earlier on. Do you think potential Cloud Soul would favor one of these team compositions significantly more than the other?
I can see both utilizing it so well. Just the movement speeds attached to it is here. You have the MF and the Yone being very highly effective as well
Ooh,
as, Udyr
powers as
being able to chase people out for the entirety of the map. Um, I think it's good for both teams. I don't see one particularly. It's a do or die for them.
well. Yeah, absolutely right. We'll see here. This dragon setup commences 10 seconds away from the spawn. And yes, we
Magical
do
journey.
see the
Take
magical
it.
journey has been, well, he didn't need it. He got over the wall without the journey. He had a journey of his own, I suppose, did Zui. Able to get some good damage down there onto Chong's Braum. And Rift Herald still in pocket for Maxim. Is going to consider summoning that up now in the mid lane. Zui trying to get the shove out on this bot wave at the moment, though, as No Name has done a great job of pushing that side lane pretty deep. So the position a bit tenuous, honestly, here for both sides, but we do see Aftershock burning down the objective. They've got it down to 2K, and it looks like they will secure it as Jarvan is not in the area to contest. So that is 2 dragons now for Aftershock. Tempered Fate is going to catch on to Maxim's Jarvan, who does flash away, will be able to stay alive. Now Zui is out of position, moved in to try and save the jungler, but the Yone now will be sacrificed. Bullet time over the top gets out some good damage. Nobody else falling just yet, but the stun from the cannon into the scatter into one more Q, and it's Chong Somo ends up taking it on the Braum. The objective plus a couple more kills for TFF Aftershock. They are going from strength to strength here in game 2.
I love seeing that team fight. Temper Fate just setting it up there. They're being patient. They find the Yone just off to the side a little bit. Unfortunately, not able to help, with the rest of the team being there. They pick him off and they just continue the CC chain until the very end.
Yeah, absolutely right. And honestly, the more I'm seeing of these 2 drafts, Gitano, it feels more one-sided in terms of those team fights, right? It just feels like there are so many tools available for Aftershock, and on the side of Syndicate, it's not really the same story. They have a lot of great tools for the side lane, a lot of great tools in 1v1 situations. As Moonlight Vigil is going to connect here in the mid lane, slicing Maelstrom to try and peel off this Mundo, who's trying. He pleases to go between 2 towers, and he will end up finding himself in the Death Chamber. I'm just going to have to assume he wanted to go there as well, because that's where he did find himself. Mollywop's able to jump back towards the Jarvan. They do at least take down that mid-tier 1 with the assistance of Shelly, but I think trading their top laner for it is not necessarily how Syndicate wanted that one to go.
Yeah, Mundo overreaching just a little bit, call it whatever you like, maybe a little testing, trying to do a little bit of flair here on game 2, but definitely ultimately pays the price as the team does a great job of peeling back for the MF, keeping her at a 5-0-3, a 500 bounty, completed the 2 items, call also being completed here for her. And you just mentioned briefly here about that 1-3-1 potential here. Yon Mundo doing, it can be horrible if your macro is not cohesive enough to make sure that you that push-pull method that's going to be happening with that.
Okay, here's the 1v1 in the
Yeah,
side lane. Zui going to connect the Fate Sealed. Rutledge flashing away, trying to get back underneath the turret, but the Yone damage, the execute is not quite enough. The Kennen will survive. Zui putting on the pressure, but not quite able to secure that kill. And that, I feel like, has been the story so much this game, is these Aftershock members just kind of barely getting away in a lot of these situations.
Yeah, it's close but no cigar, and I think just one, just a little bit more damage would have definitely sealed it. But that's also a good sign, saying, hey, we can do a split lane with the Kennen and still end up coming out
Oh,
ahead. Meanwhile, Syndra, unfortunately,
backing
finding
on
the
a
wrong end
ward.
of
No Name going to
business.
try to flash away, but there's no turret here for the Syndra to fall back to. And Nitro will not be denied. He's just going to run down the Dark Sovereign. Takes up his first of the game, as now the Slicing Maelstrom in the bot lane trying to set up onto Zui. Does unbind the soul, but is going to have to snap back there eventually. Rutledge does take a lot of damage. Zui flashing forward. Yone is going to be able to get it done. What is that champion? He will fall as well in the 1-for-1. And now the Cataclysm into the mid lane. Forcing him to flash out of the Cataclysm. Goes for the bullet time. The Tempered Fate as well to try and buy a little bit more space, but Misfortunate Barber just pushed up a little bit too far there. She does manage to take the Aphelios with her. Another 1-for-1. This time towards mid. Trunks Olmo trying to get away. is going to be able to find that stun, but Mundo is not going to be denied. And now Chong Solmo's running out of room to maneuver. EQ is going to get flashed. Another flash that I feel like you're just not getting any value there. There's no way you ever escape in this situation. I have to question that decision, Gitano.
Yeah, that flash, if you were, hitting right towards the wall, towards the tower, and you had a really good push away, you might be able to, stretch it out for another 10, 15 seconds, get yourself executed, or bring enough members outside of that for your team to kind of come in and be ready to, start up the Dragon this in 30 seconds. I can maybe see, something being worthwhile in there, but I don't believe the flash was necessary. I 100% agree with you.
Now, speaking of that dragon, let's see how the setup looks. Chong Solmo is respawning as we speak. Be making his way back out onto the map to try and secure some vision control for the team. This would be Cloud Soul Point for Aftershock. If they do manage to secure it, you have to imagine that the Syndicate Crashers are going to do everything in their power to try to deny that. Nitro finding the flank angle once again. See if the Mundo's going to be able to catch anybody
Oh,
out of position. Rejoining now with the rest of the team. Just playing Ring Around the Dragon Pit at the moment.
he did that very well. I thought there was going to be a collapse opportunity, but just being able to split the team there and give himself a little bit of time, finds the teammates, and is able to get out of there.
He's going to find Kennen in the tri-brush now. Pushes the Lightning Rat away. We are taking a look at the side lane right now. Is Zooey and No Name in the 1v1. The Yone did manage to get that wave pushed out pretty nicely and does also have the teleport to try and join up with the rest of the team here. He's just going to walk his way over for now. And the Dragon, it is getting burned down. It's down to 50%. The Syndra's teleporting in as well. The bullet time over the top. The damage is going to come through. And the Slicing Maelstrom, fantastic from the Kennen as well. Zooey, the Fate Sealed is going to completely whiff. Doesn't find anybody with that. When the Moonlight Vigil does get out some good damage. But Syndicate Crashers have already used all of their tools. They weren't able... Well, they did take out one. I guess Trong Somo's Braum did fall. But you have to imagine that the side of TFF Aftershock, Zooey actually moves back in, gets the knockup on a Kiora. The MF been taken down. Nobody able to protect the misfortune. The health bars were too low. And now Nitrodax charging forward, finds the briefcase onto No Name. And that is going to be a killing spree for Dr. Mundo. The Dragon count tied up at 1-1. And the Syndicate Crashers with a big play to keep themselves in game number 2.
Yeah, definitely a great job getting a lot of gold here on their side off of that fight. Good job by Yone being patient, queuing up the Dragon, getting ready for that, that engage there and doing a great job of catching MF out. Meanwhile, on the other side, in the start of that fight, the Flagon Dragon was used the Cataclysm, but unfortunately wasn't enough to stop the bullet time that was used after the Cataclysm. And a great job by MF just shredding them. But unfortunately, a delayed fight here goes in the team favor of Syndicate and able to just re-engage, take everything, and that Dragon now tied up 2-2.
Yeah, and I feel like it's especially painful for the side of Aftershock, right? Given the team compositions, that should have been a favorable situation for them, right? A straight-up 5v5 around the objective. That is theoretically where their comp should shine, and it looked good at first. As you mentioned, the MF able to wait out, doesn't cast the bullet time until the Jarvan combo is on cooldown. But in the end, they lost too much of their health. I think the biggest difference maker there was We'll Show Them's Aphelios ultimate. The Moonlight Vigil there just chunking out so many members is kind of what turned the tide in favor of Syndicate. I do believe as Zooey now caught out in the side lane a little bit. The Fate Seal to try to turn this one around. Gets on top of No Name. Syndra flashes away to try to create that space. The Q3 knockup, though, catches onto both of them. Yone looking to find the outplay once again. He gets the kill onto Braum and Mollywops. With the steel chair from the top rope, he takes down the enemy mid laner, and Kiora now will be the last to fall. A double kill over to Zooey's Yone, and the Syndicate Crashers begin to take control.
This was a Bard coming in, and then the meme of call an ambulance, but not for me, as, Yone does a great job of being patient, waiting for Braum to come back in there, and now Baron being the threat as Kennen is looking in, but I don't know if he wants to find out how deep he can go towards that Baron.
It is going to be Nash secured as well for Syndicate. Rutledge is just going to have to turn tail and run. Nothing that the Kennen can do all by himself. And Zooey just chilling in the side lane. He finished off his 1v3, and now he's going to take the turret as well.
The healing I'm seeing on this team. You already have the Mundo, completed the Warmongs, has the Heartsteel, so it's going to be hitting like a giant steel chair from the top rope, as well as Blade of the Rune King. You have Immortal Shield Bow from the mid, as well as the Bloodthirster as well from Filio. So that, I see one Executioner's calling, but I think they have a little bit more of the health cut that they need on TF.
Yeah, absolutely right. It is that healing that seems to be making a difference for the Yone and the Mundo especially, right? And now Zui, once again, going to be finding somebody. That is the Udi are just going to get taken down. Cocoa Puff's a little bit out of position there. That's going to be another punish. Syndicate Crashers, that is where their team composition excels, right? Finding enemy players out of position. They have so much damage, so much lockdown. They're able to get that kill. 5v4 now. They have Barrett still for about 90 seconds as they push up in the mid lane.
I think that you just got to give up this tower. There's no need to push forward because at the end of this fight, if you end up fighting for it, you lose the fight. They're going to try to take it anyway.
Cannon with the slicing maelstrom. Aphelios is going to get taken down right at the start of this one. And Zui is looking to be the difference maker on the flank right now. The Fate Sealed comes in, and that is going to be Rutledge hitting the dirt and flashes on top of the Syndra as well. Yone makes the difference. 3 bodies on the floor right now for Aftershock. Nitro potentially chasing a little bit too far, but once again is going to get taken down by Chong. But the tier 3 turret is looking to fall down here as well. Cocoa Puffs moving in, trying to defend, but these cannon minions with the Baron buff are going to be able to finish the job on the tier 3, and now it's Maxim back in with the EQ. Cocoa Puffs is able to disengage, but meanwhile, Zui is already on the Nexus turrets. Yone is just going to end the game. Cocoa Puffs is only level 13, 4 levels down on the enemy mid laner. Zui's going to push him back to the fountain, and the rest of the team's going to move in here to reinforce. 2 inhibitors down, and Aftershock have their back against the wall.
This was just what I was predicting before it happened. If you end up losing the fight, what do you lose? They need to think about that. They lost both 2 tower inhibitors for that fight. You may have a look, but was it the right call? Give up a tower, relax, defend a little bit, make sure you got the minions out because now it's a free dragon going over to Syndicate, and they're looking really good now for Soul Point as well after that. As you see, the entire jungle is lit up headed towards that dragon.
Yeah, there is that vision control coming through once again. They're going to see Aftershock coming from a mile away. And Aftershock, I think, wisely deciding to not reveal themselves. Oh, never mind, as I say it. Trunks is going to be able to go on a journey to try and get back towards the base. But the briefcase is going to connect once again. The Bard does have the mid laner here as No Name's going to be able to try and peel. Nitro will give up the chase in the end. Rutledge committing the slicing maelstrom onto the Aphelios. Does get the flash out from the carry there. The bolt time over the top as well. Maxim goes down low, but the Yone once again gets the Fate Sealed onto 3. The unleashed power is not enough to finish him off. And Nitro Dax flashes into the enemy base. Mundo pleases to end the game right here and right now. Are they going to be able to get it done? There's only 1 Nexus turret remaining. The Super Minion streaming into the base. Mundo already popped the ultimate. At least the side of Aftershock are going to be able to fall back to the fountain to replenish those health bars, and Maxim is very low on the J4. Still, the side of Syndicate are fishing. They're looking to end the game here. We'll show them no flash. Cocoa Puffs does get on top, but the Udyr just gets shredded like paper. Rutledge forced to rocket belt away from that one. Zui's going to be able to find the misfortune once again. A double kill for the Yone. The Tempered Fate just to buy a moment. One more moment, and I think the pasta will be ready, Gitano. The Nexus exposed in less than 30 minutes on the game clock. Syndicate Crashers will take the 2-0.
What a game. It was a back and forth teeter-totter right into the very end, and then it just took 2 team fights to really just change the entirety of this game.
Yeah, and, we can't forget the plays in the side lane as well. I think the Yone shenanigans that led to that Baron, really felt like the backbreaker for me. Although the team fights, I mean, given the fact that they were playing against such a formidable team fighting composition, I think the team fights from Syndicate, as you rightly pointed out, were very impressive as well.
Yeah, once they figured out the 1-3-1 or even have the Mundo at the team, you throw the Yone to the side lane. There's no one there to really 1v1 at this point. Kennen, we saw multiple times for trade-offs. Unfortunately, it's not able to happen, and there was not enough punishment for the Yone early, and he starts taking off towards that mid game. And unfortunately, we saw, like you just stated too previously, that fight preluding for them, they were able to 2v1 effectively, grabbing them the Baron and giving them the opportunity to have a lot of space for those team fights.
Yeah, it was definitely once they did manage to find that lead for the side of Syndicate, they really played it out very expertly, I think. Taking that space and really just, maintaining that control over the map. It's something that we saw in game number 1 as well, right? There was a little bit more smooth sailing for them in game number 1 where they were able to get that early lead and then just kind of gradually snowball their way towards victory. This time around, they had to fight for that lead a little bit harder, but once they did manage to get it, I feel like the control, like you were just talking about, they were really able to exert that pretty expertly.
Yeah, Syndicate did a great job of just making sure they had the word control, make sure they're roaming as that four squad as the pressure is being put on, and then a good job by whoever's in that splitting lane of making sure they're not overextending or catching out. Or if they are and they're going to send multiple people and resources, they can grab something like that Baron or the Dragon on the backside if they are willing to commit to that.
Yeah, absolutely right. Pretty strong showing, I think, from Syndicate Crashers here in week number 1, and I think they've really shown us why so many people were so hyped about this team coming into this season, right? We were able to see a little bit of that from Aftershock as well, and I think to some degree we can just kind of chalk up the shakier moments to the fact that they were going up against such strong opposition. But we're gonna have to wait a little bit later on into the season before we really get a better feel for where these teams really do sit in relation to one another and the rest of the league. But as far as this game 2 is concerned, Gaetano, who's our second POG of the night? Last time around, obviously, we did give it to Nitro when he was on the Mordekaiser. This time around, there's definitely a front runner in my mind, but let's hear it from you.
It's the Bard. No, we're gonna go with the Gale on this one. Just a great job of exuding the pressure, making sure that early game for him went well, and then decide to split bottom, grabbing the pressure off of everyone, and a great job joining the team fights too. Even we saw him bot side time and time again, but always grabbing the flank, coming up there. So I'm gonna grab it to Yon.
Yeah, there was that one flank really early on. I think it was after like the first or second dragon, where like Maxim got a little bit caught out by some
Yep.
CC, and then like Zui tried to move in to save him and just ended up kind of dying on the side there. And it really felt like Zui took that to heart and was like, okay, let's be a little bit smarter about my flanks from here on. And I really feel like that's another way where we saw Syndicate kind of ramp up over the course of the game. So I think absolutely agree. Pretty obvious POG here in game number 2 is the Yone made such a massive difference for Syndicate in this one. Do you have any other final thoughts, Gaetano, here about our best of 3 tonight, or about week 1, the league, or the season overall in general?
Um, Overall, I'm just super excited. This fearless pick style too is really going to test people's champ pools, and it's going to test my reminder knowledge of, hey, just because they're in problem game 1 doesn't mean they're going to be a problem here in game 2 and 3. So thanks for the patience for that, and yeah, I just want to say thanks to everyone who came out tonight to watch. Thanks for the production, and thank you as well for casting with me. It was great to have you here, and I had a blast. And unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to eat the next time before we cast together because
Yeah, I think
this
so.
pasta talk is killing me here, and I will be making midnight pasta because of what happened here. So,
Right.
um, back over to you. Thoughts?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's week 1. We're still ironing out the kinks, right? And it's our first time casting together as well. So,
Yep.
we'll be able to, figure out the strategy around eating before, and, food metaphors and all this kind of stuff. That's going to just, I think, improve with time. We're going to marinate on the food metaphors, and really it's starting to simmer. We're just gonna keep cooking as the season goes on. But I think we had an absolute banger matchup to start us off here. Syndicate Crashers looking phenomenal, and very excited to see where the season does take us. That's gonna do it for us tonight. From myself, Katano, from all from the entire team here at Blue Water. Thank you, everybody, very much for watching. We will see you next week, same time, same place, for some more BOL Emerald action. Have a great night.